Does Chip Kelly have a lifeline out of UCLA football? The Chargers have now interviewed 15 dudes to potentially replace Brandon Staley, and USC's prized quarterback recruit is getting courted both by the SEC and by Colorado. Good morning. I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is the faithful Angelenos Morning Report. So it is January 21st, 2023. I'm broadcasting from Ice Station Alpha in St. Loser, Missouri. It is snowy. It is icy. Maybe I'll get home. I have no idea. But whatever, let's talk a little LA sports. And if you like being in the know about LA, clickety-clack the like button. Clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notification bell. Hit that. It'll let you know when we drop new content. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. And by all means, comment. I do look forward to hearing from you. By the way, we did add a new subscriber to the Angelenos Familia yesterday. Thank you for getting in on the ground floor. I'm going to do my best to keep you informed. Now, before we go through the news and notes, a look at the scoreboard. D'Angelo Russell, apparently he got the message that he needs to pick up the pace. He sparked the Lakers again with 34 points. The Lakers are back to 500 after a 134-110 victory over the Portland Trail Blazers. Meanwhile, James Harden scored 24 points, and the Clippers finished their game on a 22-0 scoring run. Clippers 125, Brooklyn 114. Meanwhile, today, San Jose is going to play the Kings at 7:30 tonight. Has David Rittich supplanted Cam Talbot as the number one goalie on the Kings? Rittich has actually been, for what it could be said on ice, ballin' lately. But they haven't exactly said officially he's the top guy. Let's get to the news. Multiple sources are telling CBSSports.com that embattled UCLA football coach Chip Kelly is seen by many NFL teams as a potential offensive coordinator. Now, Kelly has been a head coach in the NFL before, with two teams to be exact, Philly and San Francisco. But he wound up returning to the college game with UCLA back in 2018. Maybe Kelly as a head coach isn't the ideal job for him, I should say, at this stage. Considering he's just 35 and 34 with the Bruins since he came back to college. But he is still seen as one of the game's most innovative offensive minds. Now, CBS did not mention specific teams that are said to be interested in Kelly. They are saying that sources are telling them that he is a potential offensive coordinator. There would be jobs available for him if he decided to leave the Bruins. For example, you figure there are 8 head coaching vacancies in the NFL. They are going to want their own offensive coordinator, not the incumbent, right? In addition to that, there are 5 additional teams that have an opening for offensive coordinator. Total of 13 potential offensive coordinator jobs out there. So you look at the Bruins program and you ask yourself, if you were Chip Kelly, why stay? I'm not saying you definitely leave UCLA, but why stay? You're barely 500 in your career there. From the looks of things, you don't like to recruit high schoolers. The stadium is never close to full. The fans are upset. On the other hand, you go to the NFL as an offensive coordinator, you could get paid pretty doggone well and not have the strain of having to deal with all of the management that goes on when you run the entire show. But is that enough of a sales pitch for Chip Kelly? Because you figure there might be a pay cut involved, head coach to coordinator. And you would also have to figure that Kelly does have an ego. If you go back to the NFL as an offensive coordinator, aren't you just automatically, with your ego, confessing that you couldn't hang as a head coach? And for that matter, if you have to answer to a head coach, do you have the freedom to innovate that you do at UCLA? Now, there are no predictions on my account as to what Chip Kelly is going to do. But Is it possible that an NFL team is going to try to pry him from UCLA? Meanwhile, over with the Chargers, Rams defensive coordinator Raheem Morris did interview with him. Two people interviewed with the Chargers yesterday, to be honest with you. And I'm not necessarily sanguine on the odds that either one of them would get the job. For example, the reason that I don't believe Morris would get the Chargers gig is because the Chargers would be replacing a former Rams defensive coordinator with the current Rams defensive coordinator. Something about that just seems a little hinky to me. The Bolts have also interviewed Ben Johnson, Detroit's offensive coordinator, and that would bring the list, as we said in the opening, up to 15 people who have interviewed for the job. Now, it does make you pause because the Chargers were candid enough to say that they were going to cast a wide net in this job search. But this is starting to look a little random, don't you think? After a while, you kind of have to sit there and go, you know what? Maybe you and I ought to be interviewed for the Chargers head coach position. The Chargers are starting to look like the dude at the club who's desperate to get any woman in the sack at 1:30 in the morning. Just very strange. Also with the Chargers, the very underwhelming analyst Mike Florio of NBC Sports reports that competition to hire Jim Harbaugh will likely come down to the Chargers and the University of Michigan. Why is it underwhelming? Because we've been saying it on this channel for weeks. This guy is apparently an elite analyst. He's telling us something that we already could have figured out on our own. Welcome to the party, Mike. We've been saying it for weeks here. Now, according to Florio, Harbaugh is Atlanta's plan B. Okay? The Falcons would really prefer to get Bill Belichick, which again, we already knew. So the Chargers are apparently the front runners for Harbaugh, but if the Spanos family goes on the cheap end, quote, he might end up getting the most money to stay at Michigan, unquote. Again, you and I have been talking about every single step that Florio just said here for weeks. We knew that there was a possibility that this was all a ploy simply to get bargaining power over the University of Michigan. We knew from prior days talking on this channel that Belichick was targeted by Atlanta. We're not geniuses. We're just keeping up with the pace, dude. Mike Florio leading from behind. Well done. Julian Lewis, the highly regarded high school quarterback who previously committed to USC, and then he pushed his graduation up to 2025. It was originally 2026. He has now scheduled visits with 2 SEC schools and Colorado. This is according to the website On3, which also produces a lot of college football content on YouTube. Now, Lewis has not broken his commitment to USC, but he does live in Georgia, and as you might guess, the Bulldogs are after him. They absolutely are. Now, I do not want to go into too much depth about what Lewis may or may not be thinking, because he's a high schooler. I'm a grown-ass man. I do not want to sit here gossiping about high schoolers. I'm a little bit too grown for that. Now, if we find out news about what Lewis is going to do, I'll be happy to tell you. But speculating on teenagers, hard pass, not going to do it. I mentioned earlier that Rams defensive coordinator Raheem Morris got his interview with the Chargers. New England wants to interview 2 Rams assistants for the vacant offensive coordinator job over there. Tight end coach Nick Caley is apparently going to get a chance to chat it up. He used to coach for the Patriots, as a matter of fact. The other candidate would be Zach Robinson, who is the Rams quarterback coach and passing game coordinator. Robinson was actually a player who was drafted by the Patriots, so they both have ties back to New England. Lakers starter Taurean Prince missed Sunday's game against Portland. his left knee is sore. It's only the third game that he's missed, unlike other offseason additions, some of who I think have been lucky to play 3 games, frankly. If I am able to fly back home today in this craptacular weather, I am going to be adding names to the list on the Idiot Scribe Laker rumor board that longtime viewers know that I keep. All the idiot rumors about who the Lakers are going to trade for, sign in free agency, all the idiotic rumors that the Dodgers are allegedly fawning over, I keep on a whiteboard just so we can laugh at how stupid sports writers have become over the years. Because keep in mind, these scribes are damn near never right. The Dodger list that we had this offseason, well over 40 names. It was pushing 50. And the scribes only predicted 5 of them. You have a 10% hit ratio? So how would you like to work in a profession where you only had to be right 10% of the time? Sign us up for that, right? So anyway, getting back to the Lakers, the Belcher report is claiming that the Lakers wanted to go after Malcolm Brogdon of Portland, Spencer Dinwiddie of Brooklyn, and Toronto's Gary Trent. To which I say, whatever, bro. The list keeps growing. I think it's up to 15 now for the Lakers. There are a lot of people who are pretty sad about the impending demise of Sports Illustrated. They apparently sent out an email telling all of their employees that they were about to lose their jobs. I am not going to miss Sports Illustrated as it fades into memory. Because Sports Illustrated going out of business, it's not because they put a transsexual woman on the cover of the bikini issue. It's none of those silly little things. If you really want to know the reason Sports Illustrated is going out of business, they used to represent quality journalism, and they don't anymore. It was just a couple of weeks ago that they were caught using AI to generate their articles. They were trying to generate articles without using reporters in the first place. That's not quality. That's not quality. So you had to know that SI was going downhill. Now, the quality also matters with the people who actually do report for Sports Illustrated. The Sports Illustrated website, for example, has a page dedicated to UCLA basketball. And the website said that, quote, Mick Cronin struggles to put an optimistic spin on epic second half collapse versus ASU. And the writer follows it up with, quote, we get it, Mick. To which I say, no, you don't get it. You do not get it at all. They did not collapse to ASU. They collapsed to Arizona. Kind of a difference there. Kind of a difference. Matter of fact, it's one end of the state to the other, frankly. And by the way, if you can't get the school right, maybe you shouldn't be going around calling him Mick. For the record, if you really want to know, by the way, why Cronin was basically putting an optimistic spin, Cronin is saying that UCLA's all-underclassmen lineup is now focusing on getting better every game. Very simple, realistic goal. And by the way, that should have been Cronin's goal from the very beginning of the season, because the guy has 7 freshmen on his roster. You can't expect an Elite 8 to come out of that, unless, of course, it's the 1990s Michigan Fab 5. But you let me know what you think in the comments thread. Talk to me, for example, about Chip Kelly and if he would actually entertain going back to the NFL. Which of the 15 people that the Chargers have spoken with do you want to see be the head coach of the Bolts? And if you enjoyed the content, don't forget to subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. We're talking LA sports every single day here. Thank you for watching. I'm James. We'll be back tomorrow. Faithful Angelenos is a Kian Corte El Queso production. Take care.